Well, the conflict may be thousands of miles away, but we will no doubt be feeling the effects right here at home. And I'm joined now by global policy expert Dr. Alan Kuperman. He's an associate professor at UT, and his research focuses on military intervention. Thank you so much for being with us, sir.
Thanks for having me back.
Now, last month, the U.S. sent 90 tons of military aid to Ukraine, but right now, sending American troops isn't part of the plan. Is there a scenario in this Russian aggression you can think of that would change that?
Under no circumstances will President Biden deploy forces into Ukraine. What he's doing, and the reason for that is it could lead to a war directly against Russia. And we each have nuclear weapons, and no one wants to take that chance of escalation. So what President Biden will do is deploy forces next door to Ukraine, to NATO countries, where we do have an alliance and a requirement to defend them. And I'm sure he will supply additional materiel to the Ukrainian military. But that's it. We're not going into Ukraine, and we should not go into Ukraine.
Well, Doctor, let's talk about the sanctions President Biden and other countries are imposing on Russia now. Just how harsh are these sanctions, and how are they going to hurt Russia?
The sanctions seem mainly to be of two types: sanctions against the finance system, including banks, and the use of U.S. currency, which is the main currency for trade internationally, and then sanctions on exports of high-tech goods to Russia. Both of those will hurt, but that's more of a medium to long-term hurt. And so it's nothing that would stop Putin from doing what he wants to do in the short term. And it's also not the most that we could do. President Biden, I think he thinks of his economic nuclear weapon as cutting Russia off from the SWIFT system, which is the international system for exchanging currencies. And it would make it much harder for Russia to engage in trade and finance. But I think Biden is holding that in reserve because it's a possibility Putin will go even further and try to occupy the whole country. I don't think that's going to happen, but if that would happen, then Biden would put in place the most extreme sanctions.
Now, President Biden's options to hurt Russia include cyber warfare on an unprecedented scale. But is the U.S. really able to protect itself from Russia doing the same thing to us?
Well, we don't know, because that sort of large-scale cyber warfare has never taken place anywhere, really. The assumption is that we can hurt them and they can hurt us. So it's a kind of mutual deterrence in the same way as with nuclear weapons. And so I think that the U.S. government will be very hesitant to start that kind of conflict because it could escalate rather quickly. It's very different on trade, where we can hurt Russia with trade, but Russia cannot hurt us with trade. So it's asymmetric. And so it's much safer for us to keep our punishment of Russia on the economic side rather than the cyber warfare side.
So many layers to this developing story. Dr. Alan Kuperman, thank you so much for being with us. We appreciate your time.
Okay, have a good night. Stay warm.